I used to believe, right, that I needed coffee in order to start my day. Like, I used to smoke cigarettes too. I used to believe that I needed coffee and cigarettes before I went into my hustle. And so I needed to unlearn those things because I knew that that would only come to my demise, right? And you just reach a point where you're just like, you know what, I don't even need it no more, which is funny because now weed's illegal, at least where I'm at, which is odd. Now that it's legal and you can find it anywhere, I don't even touch the shit. But anyway, that's just an example of something you need to unlearn. So really think about something that you do, or maybe a habit that you have, or a thought process that you have that doesn't necessarily move the needle, right? If anything, it kind of holds you back. It anchors you. That's something that you need to unlearn, and you'll be fine. You just really need to stop kind of creating that inner dialogue of believing that you need it, because it all starts there. What's up, everybody? In this episode, I'm going to teach you 3 habits. Well, actually 3 practices that you need to turn into habits in order to build your empire. You ever hear that term? Like, hey, build your empire, build your empire. But do you ever get that advice and be like, where do I start, bro? Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you how to start and what you need to do in order to actually build that empire. Before we begin, do me one solid and make sure that you hit the subscription button. If it's your first time visiting the channel, be sure you hit that bell so that you're notified of any uploads. If you're catching me on any other media stream, be sure you follow and add @Sales Remastered on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Snapchat, everywhere that you're on. Chances are I'm there too. All you have to do is add @Sales Remastered. So back to the video. The reason why I'm bringing up these 3 practices that we have to do each and every single day and ultimately turn them into habits is because this will be the only way that you can actually build an empire. When you hear the term, or when you hear the piece of advice of build an empire, what that means is you're actually building a foundation. You're building a foundation and you're building up. And so whatever profession you're in, whatever business you're in, whatever, floats your boat, whatever you focus your time and energy on, you have to, obviously build something for yourself so that the return on the effort and the return on the time is feeding you. It's constantly feeding you. It's providing for you and your family, and providing for, you and your responsibilities. And so these practices, these 3 important practices, you're going to be dealing with throughout life, whether you like it or not, whether you're building an empire or not, whether you want to be super successful or not. These are 3 practices that you really need to hone. Practice number 1 is the practice of unlearning. Practice of unlearning is also much like a skill, because if you ever heard the saying, like, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, right? Or, oh, that's just a bad habit. Well, what they're talking about is people who just have the inability to unlearn. And in order to really adapt, in order to really kind of penetrate through any market condition, or penetrate through any resistance for that matter, you need to unlearn. And if you can adopt the ability to unlearn, this is something that's really going to help you. And the reason why this is a constant practice is because throughout your career, throughout your tenure, whatever you're focusing your time in, and there's something that you're focusing your time in right now, like you're headed in a particular direction. And in order to be successful at reaching the preferred destination that you envision, you have to adopt the ability to unlearn. So let me give you an example of, something that you may want to unlearn. So a while ago, actually about a year ago, me personally, I used to smoke weed all day, every day. That was just me. That was part of my personality, ever since about the age of 15, right? And so it was just something that I did. That was part of me. That was part of my brand. That was part of just my identity. And I used to believe that I needed to smoke herb in order to be creative, in order to make videos, in order to sell on the phone, in order to, go through the grind that my profession put me through. It gave me the patience. And so I believed that. I conditioned myself to believe that I needed weed. You may not smoke weed, but you may drink coffee. And I drank coffee every single day. Now I don't. And I used to believe, right, that I needed coffee in order to start my day. Like, I used to smoke cigarettes too. I used to believe that I needed coffee and cigarettes before I went into my hustle. And so I needed to unlearn those things because I knew that that would only come to my demise, right? And you just reach a point where you're just like, you know what, I don't even need it no more, which is funny because now weed's illegal, at least where I'm at, which is odd. Now that it's legal and you can find it anywhere, I don't even touch the shit. But anyway, that's just an example of something you need to unlearn. So really think about something that you do, or maybe a habit that you have, or a thought process that you have that doesn't necessarily move the needle, right? If anything, it kind of holds you back. It anchors you. That's something that you need to unlearn, and you'll be fine. You just really need to stop kind of creating that inner dialogue of believing that you need it, because it all starts there. So the ability to unlearn. Now, the second practice is maintenance. Maintenance is, you know, let me give you an example. So like your mindset, your workout routine, your health, you know, your thoughts, your positive affirmations, whatever it is, your hustle, right? This is something that you need to maintain. So each and every single day, for example, in my particular habit, right, of maintaining, is I'm always trying to constantly learn something new. I'm always trying to put myself in a uncomfortable situation so that I can challenge myself. And this is something that I need to maintain, because I know that once I reach that comfortable state, if I'm in my comfort zone, I'm not moving forward. If anything, I'm actually just stagnant. And so I'm constantly trying to maintain the mindset to excel, to be better than I was the day before. And that's an attitude, right? So you need to maintain your attitude. Again, whatever it is that you're doing right now, there's something that keeps you going. You need to maintain the attitude of really desiring that and wanting that. Now, the third habit is okay, so you got first habit, which is unlearning, right? Second habit, which is maintaining, and then the third habit is mastering. So you might be like, yo, but D, what do I master, right? Is this another remaster analogy? Well, yeah, because the reason why you need to constantly practice the art of mastering is because there's something that you do right now that actually performs results. It actually brings you the results that you need. You might think of it as moving the needle, right? So one of the actions that I do every single day that moves the needle is I make sales, right? So I build a pipeline and I close deals. That's just something that I do that creates the result or the outcome of income. And so that ultimately feeds everything within my life. It feeds everything within my lifestyle, it pays all my bills, provides for my family, puts food on my table. And so that's something that I understand that I need to do every single day and become better and better at it so that I can provide more and more for my family. And so now I know that selling, persuasion, negotiation, origination, you know, engagement, right, with prospects and clients, that's something that I need to master. So I do that every single day. There's something that you do every single day that ultimately gives you the results that you need in order to have everything else stand, right? In order to give you that foundation. And to each his own, everything is different for everyone. But you need to identify those skill sets that you have that you really need to keep honing and mastering. And how you do that is you consistently practice. You consistently use creativity to move that needle even further and have fun with it, right? So again, the three practices that you need to turn into habits that ultimately build your empire is unlearn, the ability of the practice of unlearning, the practice of maintaining, and then the practice of mastering. You know, so for those of you watching this video, you know, as you know, this video is being shot on September 11th, 2019. And looking back of the September 11th event that happened, you know, that happened 18 years ago, right? It happened in 2001, I believe, right? Yeah, because I was just about to turn 21 years old. And so why I bring that up is because I remember back then I was sleeping in the living room of my cousin's house. And she had just took me in because I was a knucklehead in the streets, you know, dealing drugs. And I was just in this real dark place at the time. And I remember thinking back at that point when I didn't have a penny to my name. I had probably 3 shirts, right, to my name. I didn't have anything. I was at ground zero at the time. And looking back and seeing kind of what's developed over the last 18 years, I'm fortunate because I utilized these 3 practices that enabled me to reach the position that I'm in today. So I'm a full provider for my family. I have an amazing household, you know, beautiful 3 children that I support and I provide for. My wife is a homemaker, right? Like I'm the sole income in the house. I've always been the sole income in the house. And, you know, I afford all the lifestyle luxuries that we experience. And the reason why I bring that up is I'm not boasting. What I'm talking about is wherever you're at right now, whatever adversity you're facing right now, whatever doubt you may have against yourself or others may have against you, that don't mean nothing, because things can change. And if you adopt these practices, you can actually control that change. So I invite you to really study these 3 practices and go a step further and actually turn them into habits. Because if you could turn them into habits, then you, my friend, are taking a step forward into building your empire. I hope this message helps. I appreciate each and every single one of you that watches this. Please share this video with someone who really needs to see it. If anything, re-watch the video to ensure that you understand what those 3 practices are, because you need to turn them into habits. Whatever you decide to do, whether it be successful, unsuccessful, mediocre, or what have you, these 3 practices are going to be relevant to actually maintaining that lifestyle. So I'll see you guys in the next video. If you haven't already, go to salesremaster.com, learn a little bit more about me and my free sales script that you could request right now to give yourself an unfair advantage if your profession is sales and if you rely on closed transactions in order to feed your mouth and feed your family. I'll see you over there. Bye.